This is US Africa Television Class Magazine. This special edition, we have an interview with an international businessman, an investor, a man who deals with issues and ideas for human development. I speak of no other person than Chief Athan Achonu. Athan, we're delighted to have you this evening, sir.
Thank you very much, Chido.
Let's talk about an issue of major interest to you. Financial autonomy as a catalyst for relative independence for the arms of government. You have championed the issue of financial autonomy for the local governments and judiciary. Why are you so insistent on these ideas?
Chido, I have tried to make people understand that this is the solution to the problems bedeviling our society right now. Let me give you an example. The local governments are the local government is the tier of government closest to the largest population of Nigerians who live in the rural areas. Local governments cater to the greatest number of Nigerians. And in Nigeria, government is the biggest spender. So the only tier of government that caters to 3/4 of Nigerians is the local government. Before, when Obasanjo was president, the first set of governors, they never tampered with local government funds. They allowed local governments to use the monies that are theirs, guaranteed by the Constitution, to develop their various areas. Local government chairman would award contract for transformer, he would award contract for borehole, he would award contract for road maintenance, and so on and so forth. The trickle-down effect energized the economy of the rural areas. You didn't have Boko Haram then, you didn't have kidnapping. Immediately, the governors started controlling the funds that are supposed to be controlled by local government chairmen. Wahala started. First of all, it was kidnapping. From kidnapping, Boko Haram. That's not even the issue. There are political implications. It is truncating our democracy. You see, governors don't conduct elections anymore into local governments. They appoint caretaker, which is unconstitutional. And you cannot impeach them because the state assemblies don't have financial autonomy as well. You see? And also, the judiciary does not have financial autonomy. They're supposed to have, but now the state government is making, is budgeting for the state judiciary. You will see a state government will come, they will budget money for the judiciary and they won't release a penny until the end of the year. Do you understand? They can do that easily to frustrate the judges. So the only solution, for example, for the judiciary is to say in this amendment, say, let's say between 5 to 10% of the budget of a state is guaranteed for the judiciary, and it shall come as a first line charge. So that the judiciary will disburse their monies themselves, they'll plan their own development, because it's a whole tier it's a whole tier of government. Executive, judicial, and legislature. They must be financially independent for there to be real synergy for political and economic development. And responsibilities have to be shared. Do you understand? Okay, let me give you an example. All over the world, there is separation of powers. In political parties all over the world, the party is supreme. Do you understand? A governor emerges, he becomes the leader of the party in the state. President emerges, he becomes the leader of the party in the country. But it doesn't change the fact that the party is superior to all the members. Do you understand? They are only first among equals. That's what they are. But do you know that in Nigeria, governors will come, they will gang up and say they want to remove the national party chairman of a party, political party. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Do you know why it happens? Because governors control the finances of local governments. Thereby, they control the votes of the local government chairmen, who are delegates. They, by controlling those local government chairmen, they are now controlling senators and members of the House of Reps, because they are now using that control to control the party within the state. Normally, the situation will be that if you're a member of the House of Reps, the chairmen from your federal constituency are your people. You work together. Nobody can come and take their votes without consulting you. If you are a senator, all the chairmen within your senatorial zone are your people. Maybe you might have one that is against you, but you have majority. And anybody who wants to canvass for votes must pass through you. Do you understand? We now have give and take. We now have democracy. And the governor cannot come and deny you a ticket because he doesn't control your area. You control your area. For a governor to emerge, he needs at least 2 senators to support him in the state for him to emerge. Do you understand? And the senator and the member of the House of Reps will also have a good working relationship with their members of the House of Assembly. Because there is financial autonomy. Financial autonomy, governor cannot come and control those members. If governor is doing something wrong, if governor is denying that senatorial zone development that should come to them, the members will revolt and raise the issue on the floor of the House. Do you understand me? So overall, this is the only thing that will catalyze democracy and economic development.
The dividends.
Yes, dividends of democracy will trickle down. And let me tell you, it will give the senators independence. A governor cannot come now and say, okay, go to the Senate. When I want to run, you step down for me, I'll come and run. A governor will not ask his PA to come and run for Senate. A governor will not ask you, please step down, I have another candidate. That will be a thing of the past. So the Senate, by voting to support financial autonomy for local governments, they are buying their own independence. Before, in the First Republic, in the Second Republic, senators were the ones who are calling governors to order. It doesn't exist anymore. You understand me? Members of the Federal House of Representatives and senators are now like, governors control them anyhow they like. Normally, a senator is supposed to move and become a president after serving in the Senate. Do you understand me?
Like in the United States.
Like in the United States. Now, senators, after serving in the Senate, you are aspired to go and be a governor. Meanwhile, governors, when they finish service, they can come to the Senate and or contest for the presidency. Do you understand me? Governors in Nigeria, because of this political power they control by controlling the financial finances of local government, they are even using it to even try to impose on the president of the country. And then nobody is checking the governors. Nobody. So there is no corruption in Nigeria. So Nigeria is a corruption-free society. And every day they will be talking that there is corruption, there will be corruption, corruption, corruption. No governor has gone to jail. Even the president will find it difficult to even prosecute a governor. Why? Because the House of Assembly is in the pocket of the governor. Now, the House members in the state assemblies don't know that if the governor wants to starve them during this amendment, starve them of funds, seize their funds, it will only happen for maybe 2 or 3 months that they will starve. They will only starve for 2 or 3 months. Immediately they will pass that vote for their own financial autonomy, bam, the governor will kneel down and come and beg them. Because before the governor does anything, he must get their approval. Do you understand me? That is what they don't realize. That they need only to pass that vote, and the governor can't eat 1 kobo of the state without coming to negotiate with them.
Why do you think they don't understand that?
I don't know. If they do,
why don't they act on it?
Exactly. If they do, why don't they act on it? That vote is a vote for their independence, for them to be granted financial autonomy, and for local government to be granted financial autonomy. Because if they give themselves, they don't give local governments, governor can stop their election. If governor controls, you see the thing?
So it has to be across.
You see the relationship, it has to be across the board. And they also have to give judiciary, so that governor will not go and order a judge and tell him what to do. Do you understand? Look, there is crime all over the world.
So the judicial services reform,
yes,
for you must have at the center financial independence.
Financial independence is the main. Without it, we don't have a judiciary. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Look, my brother, crime, all these things, kidnapping, crime exists all over the world. In Italy, the Christian Democratic Party and the mafia ran Italy for over 40 years jointly. Do you understand me? If Brave Brigade was in Italy,
yes,
they kidnapped Adomoro. I was in Italy when they have put him in the boot of a car.
The trunk.
A prime minister in the trunk of a car. In America, was there not insinuation? Okay, Kennedy was assassinated. Mafia was running cities, had policemen in their pay, had judges, had all this. What saved America was structures, law. Journalists came, and media, freedom of press. The journalists came up and said no. They started exposing, started writing. Some prosecutors said no way. They started prosecuting. Some policemen said no. They started digging for evidence, because the laws that will protect them are there. Do you understand? Legislators started passing laws that make changes because they had financial independence. Do you understand me? This is what we need, structures.
Let me ask you on this same issue of the power of the governors relative to the president.
Yes.
While Obasanjo was able to confront where he deemed it necessary and where it also served his interests, some governors, why has it been a limited set of circumstances for the current president?
Let me tell you, Obasanjo had a different orientation. Obasanjo came from the military.
That's right.
And in fact, one of the problems Nigeria has today is the culture of impunity that came from the military. That is same attitude the governors have. The governors are ruling with impunity.
Some of them are soldiers.
They don't know, the governors, no, this is the culture that we imbibed from the military. You know, we had many years of military rule. Now, the governors don't even obey court orders. Jonathan is a Democrat. Jonathan believes absolutely in the rule of law. Do you understand me? Now, look at, you say a governor is corrupt. Where is the evidence? Jonathan can't just come because they say a governor is corrupt, go and use EFCC, tell EFCC to go and carry him. He can't do that under the law. That's why we have law. That's why we have a democracy. You must have evidence. EFCC must dig up evidence. Police must get evidence. Journalists must dig up the rock, get information which they will now expose, which will make it impossible for the police to hide such evidence. That is what happens in other countries. Do you understand me? Now, since I came to America here, there has been this thing happening in Rivers State, the Rivers Amechi, and the presidency, and the PDP.
The First Lady.
Now, Amechi is a member of the PDP. Once, I don't know why they have not expelled him from the party. Because he cannot rubbish. This is the biggest political party in Africa. If you don't believe in the party, you leave the party. Do you understand me? You resign and join another party. You cannot be a member of PDP and be grandstanding. You cannot be a member of the PDP and be going to bed with the opposition. Do you understand me? And then, what happened in the House of Assembly in Rivers State was a show of shame. Those 5 legislators who are claiming to be PDP should be expelled. Because what should have happened is that they would have expelled those legislators who are supporting Amechi from the party, and then had a new election for those positions. Because I think the Electoral Act supports that, I'm not sure. But that should have been the ideal situation. Do you understand me? Expel those members of the House of Assembly who are disobedient to the party.
Does disobedience or disagreement with the presidency or the First Lady constitute this?
No, excuse me. First Lady issue is different.
No,
the party told you, the party said, don't run for, that's the chairmanship of the Governors Forum. That is what is the problem.
But he won the chairman.
No, excuse me.
Election.
No, not the election. The party zoned that. There is zoning in PDP. There is zoning in PDP. Do you understand me? So, if you are a member of PDP, you should, for you to agree to become a member of that political party, you should subscribe to their laws and rules and regulations, isn't it? You can't be a member of the PDP and say you don't want, when zoning doesn't favor you, you now become disobedient.
But we have had cases where other politicians from areas where the presidency was not zoned came out and competed for the presidency.
Yes.
They were not expelled from
They were not expelled.
Yes.
But they didn't fight. Give me an instance.
No, of course, I'm not suggesting that we supported what happened in the assembly. It was reckless, it was criminal conduct.
Yes.
You know, but I'm saying that ideological and philosophical disagreements within a party
yes.
ought not to lead to the expulsion of an individual.
No, of course, if you disobey, the party is supreme. You have to, if you are not abiding by the rules of the party, you are no more a member of the party.
But who is the party?
The party is everybody and the laws supporting it. The party has a constitution. The party has laws. The party has do's and don'ts. When the party is the leadership, the leadership of that party is representative of the party. There is a state leadership, there is a national leadership. And you are told, don't do this. Don't run for this position. It has been zoned to the north.
To the middle belt.
You understand? To the middle belt or to the north. You insisted. You disobeyed the party. You disobeyed the president, who is the leader of your party. And you are even making public statements against your own party. Then you don't deserve to be a member of that party. That is the way I see it. And whoever sent those 5 people to the National Assembly, I mean to the State House of Assembly, Rivers State, I mean, if they are members of the PDP, they should be expelled. And I'm sure Jonathan cannot have a hand in that kind of show of shame. I'm very sure of that. I have had insinuations that Mrs. Jonathan is not the president. She's not even an elected official. She's the wife of the president. And since Mariam Babangida, wives of presidents have been playing roles, but not that kind of role. So I don't believe that she has a hand in it. If she has, I don't know. I've been in America all this while, but it will be very, very regrettable if she has.
Do you see, or do you have major concerns that the issues in the Rivers State politics between the triangle fight, the governor of the state, the presidency, and materially the first lady, and actually the fourth, the PDP itself, could have a major destructive effect on Nigeria if it is not halted, because that is the area home base of the president, Rivers State and Bayelsa.
It's shameful, really. It's shameful. Amaechi's conduct is very, very unbecoming. This is something that is zoned, the presidency is zoned to your people. Your people have never had a chance. Since independence, no hope of ever producing a president. The whole Nigeria rallied round and said, yes, the South-South deserves a shot at the presidency. And you are the one trying to truncate that chance that has been given to you by a majority of Nigerians. Nigeria voted for Jonathan as president during that election. I campaigned during that election. I campaigned all over the Southeast. And our organization called for Jonathan. Because when we put him side by side with other candidates,
I noticed you're a lot much more middle, a little emotional speaking about this.
No, do you know why? Why? Do you know why? Jonathan is the only president who has followed the rule of law, and they think he is weak. That man, I have had opportunity to interact with him a few times. He has a will of iron. Jonathan, President Goodluck Jonathan, has a will of iron. I have had the opportunity once or twice to interact with him. That's the feeling I got from out of that interaction.
Why is the Boko Haram bending his iron will?
How? How are they bending it?
They have disrupted safety, property, destroyed lives in various parts of the country.
Like they have done in America, like they have done in so many countries in the world. They're everywhere. They are everywhere on earth now. When did the terrorism stop in England?
No, we're talking about
Boko Haram.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. It's a new thing. It's a wave all over the world now. It's Islamic fundamentalists. They're everywhere. It's not only in Nigeria. It's a dangerous trend. And you know what? Let me tell you what is causing it. It's not Jonathan. It's hunger. Jonathan, is it the one that bombed the World Trade Center? Did Jonathan bomb it?
No,
you understand me?
No one is suggesting that Jonathan is.
Jonathan has nothing to do with the emergence of Boko Haram.
Nobody has said that.
Yes.
But in terms of checkmating, the activities of Boko Haram.
How do you checkmate somebody who will put a grenade around his body and come to you and detonate it? How do you do that? You do that by making sure that there is no opportunity for those people to find willing recruits. Do you understand? How do you do that? Education, employment. Do you understand me? And then who are in charge of the states? Who are in charge of the rural areas? Jonathan can't be governor and can be local government chairman at the same time. You understand me? Mm-hmm. Jonathan is in Abuja.
Sure.
There are 3 tiers of government. Those who are nearest to the people are governors. Those who are nearer to the people are governors. Then those who are nearest to the people are local government chairmen. You go and withdraw the funds that local government use to patronize people in the rural areas in the past. Okay, even now in the state, tell me how many people win contracts? How many commissioners can tell you that they are exactly can show them that $1,000 direct contract? Nobody.
Which is $1,000.
Yes, nobody. So that is the problem.
Why is the president not speaking on these issues the way you're speaking about them?
It's a democracy. The governor is independent of the president. Governor was elected the same way president was elected.
No, in terms of persuasion, raising the issues and clarifying.
I do not know. I cannot say. I do not know what he always has meetings with them. I don't have information on what transpired in those meetings. I do not know what he tells them.
The FCC to ensure at some level of reality that the funds for the local government were transferred to the local government.
Let me tell you, that is that is rule of law. You know, when Obasanjo withheld the Lagos state money, immediately
which was unlawful.
It was unlawful. That's what I'm saying. Jonathan. That's why I said that Jonathan totally and completely believes in the rule of law. He won't do that. Yes. You see, Jonathan has to, okay, for example, we are trying to go to court now against all this. In fact, almost all the governors are guilty.
Tell me the name of your foundation again, please.
It is Project Nigeria Partnership for Development.
That's true.
Yes. Project Nigeria Partnership for Development. We didn't give a crown, just Project Nigeria Partnership for Development.
Yes.
I hear that Enugu State Governor gives his local government chairman their allocation. Sullivan Chime. I've heard so much about it. I've never met him personally, but I've heard so many good things about that governor. And he doesn't talk, he doesn't make noise. I don't think I've ever read anything controversial about him. Do you understand?
Yes.
And it's very quiet.
And
then he conducts his election regularly and normally.
Yes, you raised an issue over one or two of the governors regarding elections.
To local government?
Local government.
Oh, I mentioned you mean in my interview?
Yes.
It was Anambra State Governor.
Yes.
Yes, Peter Obi. Peter Obi never conducted any local government election throughout his tenure. And normally it's an impeachable offense. Do you understand? These things, these caretakers that are appointed, they are impeachable offenses. But I don't know. Everybody is keeping quiet in Nigeria. These things are happening. Okay, let me tell you. If you're not a member of the House of Assembly now, you can't be patronized by government. You can't get contracts. Can't get anything. If you're not a member of the House of Reps, the same thing. If you're not a senator, the same thing. Or governor or governor's relation. Commissioners don't even get patronage. Most commissioners only get their salary and go home. And extra codes. That's what they get and go home. And they have information as to how the governor is thieving. If he is thieving. You understand? And they will supply this information. We are trying to open a portal now where people can send information so that we can assist and see if EFCC will prosecute, if journalists can come and dig further and do exposes on all these acts of corruption. In fact, there is one Director General of an agency I'm in court, I'm trying to prosecute and expose his high-handedness and the level of corruption that is in that agency. I'm trying to do that right now, to expose it in Nigeria, to use it as an example. You know.
Finally, Nigeria will be celebrating 100 years next year. What are your thoughts about the future of Nigeria? You know, what are your reflections in a brief wrap-up?
The only opportunity we have is this constitutional amendment.
That is going on.
That is going on now. If they don't pass financial autonomy for local governments, financial autonomy for judiciary, financial autonomy for state legislatures in this constitutional amendment, I doubt if we will have any country called Nigeria, because everybody now wants to be governor. People are arming themselves. How Boko Haram, they have arms. Kidnappers, they have arms. So there is proliferation of arms in the country.
Politicians also.
Politicians, I'm sure they have cages of arms everywhere, ready for 2015. Do you understand? My brother, if they don't put these checks and balances, and let me tell you, I heard that Senate voted against local government autonomy. I don't want to believe it, because we are going to now call for a release of the Hansard, this thing, so that we will now know who said what. We will now know if they want to contest for governorship. So we alert the people that why they voted against it is because they want to come and steal local government money. Because these people went on these town hall meetings, do you understand me? Spent taxpayers' money, and then came back after the public hearing to say that generality of Nigerians want local government autonomy. These are their constituents. And then they turn around to vote against it. Does it mean that they are superior to their constituents? Their power derives from their constituency. Now, there is the Electoral Act allows for recall of elected members, both senators, members of the House of Rep, members of the State House of Assembly. We are going to put this into practice. Now, if we hear that this person voted against the wishes of his constituents, we simply call all the political parties that contested against him. We ask those candidates that there is another chance for them now. They should tell their members to come and sign the petition for recall of that candidate, so that that position will be vacant.
So this will happen under Project Nigeria?
Oh yes.
So he's going to get more active into it.
Very, very active. We are going to try and make sure that, and this will, it will improve democracy. And you understand me? So that if you are now elected into the Senate, House of Rep, House of Assembly, you must live up to your responsibilities. When you know that it is very easy to recall you if you are not doing the right thing.
Or to expose your actions.
Yes, or to expose your actions. If you're not, because you are there for your constituency and nothing else. If your constituency say you should go there and say they don't want to be part of Nigeria, that is what you are supposed to go and say. If your constituency say go there and say, or the non-Nigerian the revenue coming from oil, they should share it per household. That is the opinion we are supposed to go there to canvass. Are you following me?
You believe in direct representation.
That is what it is. You are elected to serve the interest of that constituency. And then you go there and they tell you that they want financial autonomy. And you go back to Abuja and say something different.
Have you contested for elections?
I have never.
Are you thinking about it?
Right now, I am not. And then there is another thing I want them to put in the Electoral Act. Like 2015, we're in 2013. Since 2012, people have been talking about election 2015, distracting governors, distracting the president, distracting senators from doing their job. They should amend the Electoral Act and say that if maybe 9 months or 6 months, or maximum, let's say 1 year, because these people are very, very impatient, that if anybody starts talking about re-election or campaigning, starts campaigning earlier than 1 year to the next election, that person should be banned from contesting for any elective position. Do you understand? For the next 8 years. I think they should do that so that we can get serious with managing our country and our national economy and our nascent democracy.
Thank you very much. Before I leave, I want to have you give me a thumbnail response to the names I'm going to mention. You're very familiar with the late Professor Chinua Achebe.
Yes, I don't know him personally. I'm familiar, yes. I read Things Fall Apart in secondary school.
How do you place him in history?
Oh, he's a great man. He was a great man, sorry. He was a great man. He was a great Igbo man, and then a great writer and a great African.
In terms of leadership, the Nelson Mandela of South Africa.
I'm not qualified to talk about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela is a legend. I don't think I'm qualified to talk about him.
Odumegwu Ojukwu, who is also the people's general.
That was my leader.
Your mentor.
That's
the one
you know, my people gave me the same title that he has.
Ikemba.
Yes, I'm now Ikemba of Imemba, no? Yes, my local government.
So you have a fondness for Odumegwu Ojukwu?
Yes, I do. I respect him a lot.
Finally, beyond business and pushing ideas on public policy, what do you do to relax? What are your hobbies? You know, what do you do?
I dance.
I think I've seen you dance.
I dance. I don't really have much time for relaxation. In fact, this is the only time in my entire life that I have stayed for more than 2 weeks away from Nigeria, except when I went to school in Italy. Now, the reason is this: I don't sleep at night. In fact, my ex-wife used to think I was crazy because I wake up around 3 a.m. Then I begin to cry. Why am I crying? I begin to wonder whether the people in government, whether they are crazy. We have so much resources, Chido. We have mineral resources. We can create 500 industries within 18 months. I have the plan.
We have agricultural resources.
We have everything, Chido. Why do we have unemployment? Why do we have... Look, I don't know. You know, I don't know. So I'm thinking, that's why I set up this organization, so that I can start talking, because it's not enough to go and cry. You understand me? So I have to come out and talk. I'm 54. If I don't talk now, when will I talk? We have great men. They should come to our rescue. Obasanjo is a great man. Buhari is a great man. He's a great Nigerian. Babangida, I admire him a lot. He's a great man. Danjuma. These men, Nigeria has done so much for them. They should come now and make sure and ensure that we get this autonomy, financial autonomy for legislature, state, judiciary, and local government that would put Nigeria on the right path to true democracy and economic development. They should help us.
Finally, what is your motto? What is the philosophy that guides you in a nutshell?
I don't have a philosophy, really. I have dedicated the rest of my life to seeing that this great country that has this much potential is not hijacked by criminal elements.
Thank you very much. It's been nice chatting with you.
Thank you.
We've been discussing Nigeria with a very passionate Nigerian, an international businessman, an investor, a man who is insistent on the development of the human capital in Nigeria and the rest of Africa. Ikemba, Ihimemba, no, Chief Athan Achono. This is Chidoma, Houston, Texas, for US Africa Television, Class Magazine, and the Black Business Journal. Thank you.